Hello and welcome to the Joy in Pens and Paper. My name is Erin and I'm going to do a flip through of my 2022 planners. So 2022 I do think is the year that I really started to figure out more of what I needed in my planner system and my memory keeping and documenting and things like that. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. As you can see, this Leuchtturm 1917 is labeled with June 2022 to November 2022. So I'm gonna actually take this and put it aside. We'll come back to it and we'll get into the Hobonichi cousin. I did have divider tabs. These are from Hobonichi, and spoiler alert, I will be bringing these back for a future year. So let's get in. I do like to put in stickers in the front and they bring back different memories. Like I started getting the Ink Flight ink journal in 2022, and this is one of the stickers that came with it, an Inkopotamus sticker. My son's Square One art. I ran the virtual Boston Marathon, so I was able to put in the Boston Marathon horse. On this yearly index or 6-month index page, I put in the workout that I did, and if you just glance really quick, it's very Peloton heavy. I had received the Peloton bike in November of 2021, which I purchased with winnings from a football survivor pool. So the bike and the shoes and the accessories cost me nothing, and it was also able to pay for the first couple of months. So yep, I did a lot of Peloton. Now then, getting into the yearly, I just put kind of a word or a phrase. Some of them, if you look closely, please don't, but I do have some swears on moments that I was upset. But that is my monthlies. And I didn't put anything for those weeks. Now getting into January 1st is where I start using the weekly. And I use the weekly here the same way that I'm using it currently. So I'm just generally matching it up with time, but the different things that I did and occasionally adding in a sticker. I track my weight by doing a graph right here, my health stats from Apple Fitness down here, and I look at the movement calories, the exercise minutes, the steps, distance, and then weight. And I started out tracking exercise minutes over here, as well as putting in a plan. And I'm not super consistent with that. There are also some days that I miss. At this point, I was still working on coursework for my doctorate, so I had some assignments right here. Very minimal on these stickers. But I did note when I had a vacation week. And you'll hear some stickiness as I turn pages because I used a lot of, let me see if I have any tucked. I do not. I used a lot of cloth and paper, kind of like these right here. But cloth and paper has a number of different sticky notes, and I would write appointments and things like that in future weeks. So if, for example, I flip to this week, it would just have these sticky notes for different things, and that's how I kept track of forward planning. And I would remove them, add them onto my weekly schedule, and then document what actually happened. So there's a little bit of residual sticky goo. And that's why the pages sound like this. This pen that I was using here, I believe, was the Epoch Amazon. It's kind of a knockoff between a TWSBI and a Lamy, and it's an extra fine, but it wrote exceptionally wet and broad. Occasionally you see I use whiteout. I don't love using whiteout, but it is necessary sometimes. This week I didn't even really use it, nor did I this week. I need to bring this ink back out. This is Dominant Industry Periwinkle Twinkle, and I love that ink. Tyersville Press Blushing Mushroom. So many beautiful inks. Now this, I believe, is where I start noting the ink and sometimes the pen. Oh, here's a good example of, this is one of the cloth and paper stickers that I used. So a lot of the same. Oh, this is Diamond Polar Glow. Look how pretty that is. TWSBI Pennsylvania Fieldstone. This is where my love of Pennsylvania Fieldstone really took off. That's all my Christmas inks leading up to Christmas Day. And then we get into the dailies. So for the monthly, I started out using it to document memory and fitness information. But then my dailies were to-do list items, scheduled items. I really liked when I boxed off my dissertation work in this manner, but then some different notes for the day. And occasionally I did some hand lettering with some different kind of fonts and things like that to highlight something big. I did some notes sections for different things. But it's nice to go through and see, like, oh, I had a snow day that day. Again, more dissertation work. This is, I started or set up everything to start a side hustle called Behave Well for anyone looking to change patterns in their life, build some healthy habits. And I took on my first client, and I actually ended up, because I wasn't sure kind of where this channel was going to go, but the channel was opened up under that email address. So if you ever wanted to email me, it's behavingwellwitherin@gmail.com, and that's the origin of that, if anyone was interested. Didn't use this monthly at all. Some days I didn't note anything. Actually, was that Tuesday, Wednesday? Yeah, so I can't even say it was a weekend. Here's more of those cloth and paper dots. And that is something I forgot that I did, is when I pulled it off the daily, I put it onto, or off the weekly, I put it on the daily sometimes. And sometimes I did that just because I liked the aesthetic of it, and others was just, that's how I noted what was on my schedule. Now we're into March. My friend's husband passed, so we had his funeral. All the, Did some, again, moved the sticker over. Now this is a time where I can say I was very, like 12-hour workday, I was very overwhelmed at work, and so I did find that I needed to bring in some artistic pieces. You can see here, it's gonna start to get a little bit busier, but I needed the aesthetic to change, to kind of shift things for me. So you can see that shift. I did a half marathon in 1 hour and 50 minutes and 12 seconds. I was very excited about that. Here's where, see, I have to laugh at this because this was me trying to alleviate stress. Now soon, oh, my husband's uncle passed, and soon it's gonna get to, oh yeah, so my son tested positive for COVID, and then a couple days later, both my husband and I were positive. So that's been the only time that we've gotten COVID so far. Knock on, that's not wood, but yes, I like some of this, but it does feel a little crowded to me. I did get a glass dip pen, and I went ahead and broke it, which was a lot of fun. But I was doing some journaling with the glass dip pen, which really helped to show off the shading properties of the different inks, and I really appreciated that. And at that point, I was getting some samples of some Sailor inks. This was our Vermont trip. And then the summer program started. I got Ferris Wheel Press Roaring Patina Black, Ferris Wheel Press Adventurine, and the Ferris Wheel Press brush pen. And I got that right as we were heading down to Delaware, and we went from Delaware to the Outer Banks, and then I came back and went back to work the summer program, and it was a spicy disaster. And I think it was around this time, nope, it was June, which I'll get into in a moment. I'm going to keep flipping through this. But at the end of the school year, during my first summer break, I was able to acknowledge that I was feeling really overwhelmed, and as much as I went really artistic in here, I needed another outlet. So that's where I pulled back the bullet journal. And so this really became more memory keeping and journaling. And there were some days that I didn't journal, but I want to say by October, I was able to, I got my, we went to the Commonwealth Pen Show on September 17th, and so I was able to get the Pilot E95S and a Galen Leather Co. Cosmo Air notebook, and I had my Pilot Vanishing Point Stormtrooper pen retuned. So that was a really fun day. And yes, and I think this might be where I was able to journal every day. I also started my YouTube channel in October. So this was my first currently inked. And then I purchased a bunch of entry-level pens. And so again, I needed some kind of a creative outlet. So the YouTube channel was able to provide that. And I also really enjoyed the practice of daily journaling. There's my second month of currently inked, and I also was inking up a lot of pens initially, and part of that was because I had so many pens coming in that I wanted to unbox and kind of build some momentum on my channel. So I had a lot of things inked up, and that meant a lot of things did carry over. And then December, again, I had a lot, but I did bring out some of the December colors. Oh, this is when I got right here, Armadillo. So my first Birmingham Pen Company ordered the particular bottle of Armadillo that I got was not even close to what it was pictured. So they ended up sending me a replacement bottle. Look at all these lovely Christmas inks. Well, and then we get to that one. And that is it for the Hobonichi Cousin. Now let's flip through the bullet journal. There are a couple of things that I did block off in here. Here's my index, my at a glance, future log, where I did the calendar boxes to write the date and then what was happening. My monthly setup, a brain dump, health graph, health stats, a running to-do list, and then getting into dailies. I did a schedule at the top and then dailies on the bottom. This was a spread that I created for some referrals that I was getting, and so I noted the student's name, that I shared the packet with my team. I read the packet, I contacted the district, contacted the parents, scheduled a tour, did a tour summary, and then whether or not they were accepted and into what program. Just a running to-do list. We went to Vermont in the summer, so I put together a packing list, starting to plan for Christmas. Again, the schedule and dailies. We also went to Chicago. It was a busy summer. Went to Vermont, Chicago, and Delaware. My July spread. And Outer Banks. Yep, forgot about that. Vermont, Chicago, Delaware, Outer Banks, all in one summer. That was nuts. This is another spread that I put together but didn't use. This was part of I needed a creative outlet, so I pulled out a mood mandala. And this I got the idea from Boho Berry way many years ago, back in the day. And so each day I picked a color that matched my mood, and then I colored it, and every couple of days I would draw the next ring of design. I noted podcasts that I was listening to, sleep patterns, Vermont memories. Here's our pictures. And we're into July. And these boxes are tracking food consumption, so looking at doing some intermittent fasting. Here's my August mandala. I wanted it to be a little bit smaller. And then I also have this, I think it's Erin Floto, Floto, on YouTube, but she also has a shop where she sells some stencils. So that stencil was sold at her shop. Do I have it tucked? I don't have it tucked back here. I'm just moving through the weekly, dailies. This is very similar to how I have it set up now. Weekly, dailies. September. I thought this was going to be cute doing the dots up here. It really wasn't. And then this was too dark to see. So I had a dot indicating that there was a task or some scheduled item, and then I put the start time in the dot, which you can't see because it's such a dark color. Or sorry, no, I didn't put the start time. These go in order of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and it coincides with all of this. I set up a September mandala. I started doing it, but I stopped. Just looking at the colors, I was much more in the content and productive phase. I set up the habit trackers and such, but didn't use them. So that's where I can tell like my anxiety ebbs and flows. The more I'm looking for an artistic outlet, the more anxious I am. And the more that I write down little things, the more anxious that I am. Putting in grocery lists. I like doing headlines. It's always been interesting for me to go back and look at different headlines and what was happening. Plus, I don't know, the way that it tends to work out, it aesthetically looks really nice. So I'm using a lot of blacks and grays at this point. A little bit of, this is Sailor Ink Studio 224, I think it is. Yeah, I'm not sure. I probably have it noted on the December 123, Sailor Ink Studio 123. There it is. Yeah, but I used a lot of black, a lot of gray, and that's probably what I'm going to be doing this year is my task management, project management, timekeeping book is going to be black and gray, and then I'm going to use my memory keeping and journaling for all my fun inks, I think. This was another spread that I set up where I had the students' names and then their IEP goals, and after I edited each of the goal areas, I checked it off and then checked off that it was completed, and I noted the time that I spent on it as well as the progression towards completion. I had planned to write out some days, but didn't end up needing them. And then we get into the end here. I had started to use this page to work on scheduling the high school program that I worked in had a 6-day waterfall rotating schedule. And so I needed to build that for freshman to senior. And then I had, this is like a pen test page so that I could see the inks and any bleed through. So there is that. That was my 2022 planner system. And the next one in this series, if you will be 2023, where it will all come together, and then we will go on the journey together for 2024. So thank you for watching. I hope that you are having a wonderful, productive, joyful day, and that it continues to be so. All right, bye.